at 62 Queen Street had the necessary authority to prevent persons from entering the building with firearms. But we have since learned to our consternation that the security officer has no such responsibility. And moreover, the building has no scanners or strong box to keep firearms. Accordingly, it became necessary to suspend the sittings of the tribunal since 25th of July 2011 until the requisite security arrangements are put in place at Queen Street. So far, nothing has been done, as a result of which there is a serious security risk for everyone in that building. In the result, I made arrangements with the Registrar of the Industrial Court for the Appeals Tribunal to resume sitting at the Industrial Court with effect from the 17th of October 2011. At the Industrial Court, of course, there are adequate security arrangements and a strong box to keep firearms. The appeals invariably involve questions of law that require considerable research and preparation. The Police Service Commission has no law reports or law books except a copy of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, which was recently supplied. There is no library or proper facilities in the Commission's offices for conducting required research. The result is that the members of the Appeal Tribunal must, in addition to attending statutory and extraordinary meetings of the Commission, spend a considerable amount of time at home and in the available law libraries in researching disputed areas of law, decided cases, and police practice. The members of the Appeals Tribunal were issued recently with used laptops. We think this is unbecoming and we propose to return them. If we cannot be supplied with new laptops, we prefer to have none. It is estimated that the members of the Appeals Tribunal spend an average of at least 40 hours in research and writing up of each judgment. But of course, as the DPA has said this morning, we are not entitled to additional compensation. The work of the members of the Appeal Tribunal is comparable to that of judges of the Industrial Court, the Tax Appeal Board, or the Environmental Commission, sitting in their judicial capacities. At the present time, the tribunal is staffed with 2 devoted and committed staff members who are comprised within the Police Service Commission Secretariat. They are on contracts which are due to expire shortly, and they don't know whether their contracts are going to be renewed or not. Now, this is a very unsatisfactory state of affairs because they are the ones who were originally there when this Appeals Tribunal was set up. They have knowledge of the system and knowledge of the work, and to bring in new people at this time is going to create more dislocation for the tribunal. The members of the Appeal Tribunal have spent considerable time using their own resources in order to do the work that we are expected to do in the national interest, and we will continue to do the work of the Commission. But at the same time, it will be appreciated that we must be assisted with the basic tools to do the work and to be paid some kind of compensation for the additional work that we have to do. At the present time, like the Israelites in Egypt, before the Exodus, we are required to make bricks without straw. But we continue to do it willingly, but we hope that some of these challenges will be addressed with urgency. As I say, this is not intended to offend anybody, but I appreciate that the system under which we operate is antiquated and bureaucratic, and that the system needs to be changed. And I think Mr. Madre will agree with me, and I'm sure that they will be making some arrangements to change up the entire system under which the public service as a whole operates. This in brief is what my contribution is on the challenges, and I commend the chairman of the Police Service Commission for organizing this roundtable discussion, because in order to find solutions, we need to state what our problems are, and in order to get help, we need to speak out and say what help we need. So I thank all of you for coming, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to make these statements to you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. We have had two presentations, one just before the lunch from Ms. Cheeseman and Mr. Khan. So before we move on to Mr. Parker, just wanted to know if there are any comments based on the two presentations, because in part both of them dealt with the issue of resources as it impact on the work of the PSC. Yes, Chairman.
With respect to Ms. Cheeseman's, fellow Commissioner Cheeseman's contribution, and since we're in the mode of open disclosure, I must say the building, as the DPA herself and everybody else concerned recognize, the building is extremely unsuitable. I'm also a member of the Teaching Service Commission. We had a meeting yesterday, and the members decided not to come across there for any selection panel interviews and so on because of the state of the building and the unhealthy nature of what the experiences have been. We as Police Service Commission cannot stay away. We have to go there and work. So you can imagine how difficult it is. This is not a matter of opinion, ladies and gentlemen. OSHA visited the building. They condemned the building on those grounds. And a copy of a letter, their report from the Chief Inspector, which I received 2 or 3 days ago, indicated to the DPA, I believe, that we should be relocated with urgency. Now, there are serious issues involved here, to the point of civil suit being taken out against relevant authorities. A lot of people have gotten ill. Myself, my sore throat always acts up whenever I visited the office. I had to remain home for a few days. My fellow commissioners knew that. And every time I visit the office, as indicated by OSHA inquiries and the inspection, there are things coming out from the ceilings. But to cut a long story short, this is the disaster in which we operate, and I'm looking forward, like Mr. Khan and Ms. Cheeseman, to some quick solutions for relocation. The brambling that the bureaucracy imposes upon us, passing the buck from one ministry to another, perhaps it's until something reaches the courts in this country that you don't get a solution. That is why we call this stakeholders meeting today, so that the law shouldn't dictate what we do, but our conscience should tell us what the right thing is about. In addition to that, Madam DPA, I understand your health and safety officer visited the building. She promised to submit a report to you about 2 or 3 weeks. As chairman of the Police Service Commission, I would like to see a copy of that report, please. This is the situation in which we exist. On behalf of regard to your remark, Mr. Khan, and in fairness, the DPA did inform me that the apparently used laptops you got, it was just a bridging purpose in that the new laptops will be coming soon, and the members of the tribunal will be furnished with new laptops, but it was just a bridging arrangement, and of which you weren't informed properly by a delegated officer in the DPA office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. Any comments? Yes, DP.
I I just want to, by way of clarity and my own information, Mr. Khan alluded to the fact that apart from the law books which were supplied recently, you said that there are no facilities for research, no law journals and other such information on police management and police laws and legislation with respect to the management of the police and to enable the appeals to do its job. May I suggest, Mr. Khan, that if you could give me as a matter of urgency a listing of the books, we can see whether they can be purchased. We are at the end of the financial year and we have no money, but the Ministry of Finance normally allocate at the start of the fiscal year 1/12 of your budget. So I would anticipate that we'll get 1/12, which is we got 6 million, which is 1/10, I think, of the entire budget for the whole year. So if you would send to me, in terms of your immediate requests, we will see whether we can meet all or a fraction of the requests until we have gotten the entire allocation. But I will need to know what are the books that are required so that I can give it to the librarian so that the books can be purchased for you to do your work. I had apologized to Mr. Parker and also to the chairman with respect to the old laptops that were assigned to you. And what I explained to Mr. Parker and what I have to say publicly here, Service Commission is a fairly medium organization. It's not large as some of the other public sector organizations, but we have over 500 persons and we are in 3 locations. And when a request comes to me for goods and services, it is normally passed to my Director of Corporate Services in terms of whether it's a bag or pen or pencil. If it's a matter of IT, it is passed to the Deputy DPA with responsibility for IT and then to the head of the IT unit. And I was not aware that old or used laptops had been assigned to the commissioners. It was only when I had cause to talk to Mr. Parker yesterday that I knew it was old and I apologize. As a matter of fact, I had to verify with the officers, indeed, whether they had sent laptop. What the head of IT, Mr. Kamal Mangal, indicated to me is that when the request came, an urgent request for laptops, there were no new laptops. But the laptops that were there were persons who had been given it for particular exercise and they had been returned. So because of the urgency, he had sent the laptops down. What he had failed to do was to inform the commissioners that it was an interim measure because of the urgency and that new laptops had been ordered. As a matter of fact, we have ordered 20 laptops. And when I spoke to Mr. Mangal yesterday, he indicated to me that within a matter of a few weeks or 2, we should have the new laptops available for distribution. On behalf of the staff and my own self, I want to apologize for giving the commissioners all laptops, although I didn't do it directly, but I guess once something is done in my name, it is done by the DPA. But I want to assure the commission that no disrespect was intended by giving the commissioners all laptop. It was only because of the urgency of the matter. The IT manager thought that might have been the best approach rather than to give the commissioners no laptop. He should have indicated by way of letter or by verbally that that was an interim measure. In terms of the allocation, the chairman, Professor Dusran, spoke about the need for allocation, reallocation, a new building. I can empathize with the chairman's concern. Not only is there a problem on Queen Street, but there is a problem in our main office on Cipriani Boulevard. We have been complaining about the state of the building for well over 2 years or 3 years now. We have had numerous requests in terms of people. It is a well-known and open secret that from last year, after Watson Duke became the president, he all but shut me down in terms of matching up and down, calling out with that big horn that you blow and call all the staff. And there were instances when I couldn't get absolutely nothing done in there. It is by gentle persuasion and trying to appeal to Mr. Watson Duke's own sense of public service, and I have been able to get some work done. People still complain. I've had cause to refer people for all kinds of doctors' attention. We have been trying desperately, first of all with the Ministry of Public Administration, and now with the Ministry of Housing. Just yesterday, my Director of Corporate Services reported back to me in terms of allocation for the staff at the SCD and also Queen Street. And we have started the process. At first, we were promised, number 1, Woodbrook Place. That is moving very, very slowly. We were promised offices in Tower D. We were also promised offices in Nicholas Tower. We are now looking at another building on Alexander Street with the hope of accommodating the commission. I am also still in discussion with Ministry of Housing and the landlord for the property identified in Aruka or wherever it was to house, St. Augustine to house. I don't want to seem as though I'm passing the buck, but most of those matters in terms of property and allocation is beyond my control. Every time I bring staff into the SCD, I brought a couple of persons, about 6 of them a month ago, and of the 6, 3 have already asked to go back. People have rashes, headache, all kinds of complaints in terms of the building about the odor and the stench. What we have been hearing from the property management, because of our particular need to have courts, tribunals, interview room, that is difficult to find a building to house us. They had asked me whether I wanted to be in one place, and I said I am not concerned about whether having everybody in one place. I just want alternative accommodation for the staff. The last building that we have seen, what the landlord is saying, they need about 6 more months for infrastructure, and then we have to get to finish the building, and then you then have to go for the valuation process, the fire, and all of the long drawn-out process. It appears though what we have to do for acquisition of a building is what slows us down. We are not like the private sector, where you simply see a building, you could pay it, you go to your board of directors, and they tell you go ahead. It's a long, drawn-out process that involves a lot of other entities that fall outside of the Service Commission. I'm not complaining, but I'm just telling you. With respect to the report from the Health and Safety Officer, I have not gotten a copy as yet.